You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. Another fine Sunday. And I am live in the New York City studios. So, boy, I love it. Believe me. Don't get me wrong. Once I get to this building and get up here with the fine people, it's great. It really is. But New York City itself, oh boy. And I was a little deceived. I flew in, and it was a nice day. Blue sky. Coming into LaGuardia, I look out the window there, and I see New York City, and it almost had me for a second. I was like, wow, that looks really nice. You know, coming back to New York. It's where I was born and raised. Still have a lot of friends and family here. And then by the time you smash down on that way too short runway at LaGuardia, you've had it. You've just had it already. So, but I'm here and I'm digging it. And it is indeed the Anthony Cumia Show. Just talking about the self-defense issue with this guy from Space Force. We don't hear a lot about Space Force, do we? Hear a lot about, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Space Force hasn't really taken off yet, has it? As a thing. But this guy, former Space Force, and we're just saying he was arrested, tried, and charged or sentenced to 54 years in prison for dispatching two carjackers. And, good. Everyone goes, oh, good. But we are a nation of laws. And the hard truth here is he really went off the rails. We've seen this a few times, and you watch these videos, and you go, well, what's wrong with that? A guy comes into a store, and he pulls a gun, and he steals whatever, threatens everybody in the store. They're petrified for their lives. He turns around and walks out the door. Somebody inside, an employee, the owner, follows him out the door and shoots him as he's fleeing. And look, I'm of the same mindset. Good. One less problem. But as far as the laws go and the way it's written in many, many states and cities, you cannot do that. That is really hunting someone down. And as I said, it's very dynamic. It changes so quickly. 1 second, you are absolutely justified to use deadly physical force on someone. The next, no, you're not. And if you do, you will be arrested and tried for murder. And look, a lot of states get it wrong all the time. New York State, for instance, and Colorado, where this happened with the Space Force vet, they don't want people to protect themselves. They do not want people out there on the streets taking care of themselves or their loved ones in any situation, even when it's obviously self-defense. So, you have that happening. So when you're trying to protect yourself or your loved ones with deadly physical force because you felt that your life or the life of a loved one was in grave, imminent danger of being ended, and you respond to that with a weapon that you have or your hands. We've seen this many, many times. And New York's notorious for this. You know, you get these subway guys like Daniel Penny was on the subway and he saw a guy that was a potential threat. And that's the whole thing, really. A lot of people go, well, he wasn't really doing anything. Does someone have to die first? Does an innocent person have to die before you can jump in? And now you can't prevent the death from happening, but pin the guy down, hold him for the cops. Why should an innocent person have to pay with their life before you can make that decision and then make the move? And Daniel Penny, thank God, was acquitted, but he had to go through it. He had to go through the system. His life is ruined. People don't understand. When you're tried like that, your life is wrecked. Financially, you're done. Believe me, no one that Googles your name if you want to get a job is going to give you the benefit of the doubt, especially after the mainstream media has smeared you. This guy, Daniel Penny, was smeared like a crazy murderer. And you'll go, no, you know what? I like what he did and everything, but it's my company. I don't really want to have somebody like that on board. So it wrecks your life. And in this case, I think this guy made a grave error in judgment. At the least, at the most, he hopped in his car and was like, finally, I get to kill somebody. And if you're a advocate of the Second Amendment and you like things like the Castle Doctrine and the ability for an American to defend himself with the best tools possible, you should understand that there are rules and laws put in place that are prohibitive of you just dispatching someone as a vigilante. And, these, I don't want to say kids. Like I said before, I do not want to say kids because it makes everyone go, no. There's a lot of 13, 14, 15-year-old kids that are hardened, heartless criminals right now. It's happening out there on the streets. So I don't care. I don't want to talk about the age. These guys were carjacking. Not carjacking. I guess they were stealing his car. He wasn't in it at the time. He comes out of his house and look, if he would have shot one of them right then and there while they were trying to get into his car, he might have had a case. Thought I saw a gun. I felt like my life and the life of my family was in danger. But the second they leave, you got to just let them go. And I can imagine that's pretty tough to do. It's your stuff. And they didn't even take his car. They left because they heard him come out the door. And, you can't chase someone down. Another thing like this happened where a guy, some kids showed up and they were trying to steal his car. He went out and shot at the vehicle driving away from his porch. This guy must have been a crack shot because he hit at least one of them. And he got in trouble. And we've seen these self-defense cases, people, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman years ago. And even the ones that are pretty obviously cases of self-defense, you got a prosecutor there that's really, really going to make you sound like a very bad person. And that's what they did to George Zimmerman. Remember that one? Walking while black, eating Skittles and iced tea, just a nice kid. Show the graduation picture. And George Zimmerman, everybody thought he was going to be convicted and go to prison. He was acquitted, and that caused a big problem. But, when Trayvon was slamming Zimmerman's head against the sidewalk, I think the jury said, yeah, we could see him seeing that as a life-threatening situation. So he pulled his gun out and shot the guy. If you have a gun and you feel like you're going to be beaten to the point you pass out, yeah, they'll usually give you a little latitude. You don't want the person getting the gun after you're unconscious and you wake up dead, as they say. So in this case, and I said it earlier, people will be mad at me. I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback from this one. I'm not abandoning the Second Amendment. I'm not abandoning you self-defense people. But this just wasn't really a case of self-defense. And I see people in the comment sections on social media when a story like this comes about, and they're reasonable. They know the laws, and that is the most important thing you could do. Having a gun is great. You know, it's the great equalizer. Even a grandma, even old granny can hold her own against a big brute, as they call them in New York. A brute assaulted grandma today. Like, a brute. Let me check. See what constitutes a brute. So, it's the great equalizer, but there are laws in place, and they don't just say that because you're mad because your property's being taken that you can then end somebody's life. Oh, my God. We are just getting started today. My voice shot. Went out last night with the great Mr. Gavin McInnes and the lovely Ann Coulter, and I just can't keep my mouth shut or my volume respectable. It's an Italian thing. I've heard that. Not like Andrew Cuomo, the Italian thing, which is pretty much molesting women at weddings. He said that was an Italian thing. Everyone's like, what? We talk loud. We talk with our hands. We say gabagool for Coca-Cola. But, molesting your nieces and people at an Italian wedding, I don't know. But, yeah, the Italian thing, talking very loud and being very animated. But we'll get through it, kids. We will get through it. And thanks for tuning in. Just starting, 800-848-9222 is the phone number, I hope. And plenty more to come. Thanks for sticking around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hello. It is indeed the Anthony Cumia Show. Boy, I'll tell you, nothing will piss off a liberal Democrat more than somebody that really wants to fight crime, really do anything, something about it. And we have been in a cycle where it's gotten insane. I mean, you don't even have to be that reasonable a person to agree that the crime situation in this country is out of hand. And all they'll tell you, if there are these liberal Democrats and various politicians from some of the cities and states that have just a terrible record of violent crime. And you'll hear, hey, crime's down. Oh, that's good. I equate it to drowning in 9 feet of water or 5 feet of water. Hey, but it's only 5 feet. That's less. It's down. The water level is down. Yeah, I'm drowning. They never want to tell you what it's down from or how bad it actually is. They'll just tell you it's down. And I don't even believe that. That's nonsense. Because we see every day. You don't have to be really someone like me that I have to look at these things. So you don't. I do shows. And I have to kind of be up on what's going on in the country. And I see a lot of violent crime going on out there in some of these cities. And they get so angry when someone like Trump or some of these other politicians, governors like DeSantis down there in Florida, when they want to do something about the crime and then they enact something. And how extreme Trump's policies have to be in order to have any effect in the Capitol, D.C. That's kind of what we're talking about right now. Donald Trump decided he was going to clean things up. Walking around, and you just know Trump was probably taking a look around and goes, this is terrible. Too much crime, homelessness, let's do something. And then he goes, all right, let's do this, this, and this. And he puts National Guard out there. He gets together with law enforcement and goes, we're doing stuff now. We're not just going to sit back. And under this federal takeover, or whatever you want to call it, he's got a little more leeway as far as prosecutions go. Because a lot of these liberal judges and DAs and whatnot, they are criminals. They are criminals. There is no excuse for them letting these people go, giving them no bail releases, and then not prosecuting them for the crimes that they're committing. And this is the crime is lower thing, too, because they'll whittle down a felonious assault to misdemeanor or even a violation harassment. And then when the stats come out at the end of the year, they go, look, crime's down. Well, you've reclassified violent crimes to nonviolent violations. You just renamed it something. It doesn't mean crime's down. And this is rampant. My buddy from the law enforcement, NYPD lieutenant, Keith the cop, he was always telling stories about how they would do this. This is what they do. The brass in the NYPD at the time, and I'm sure it's only worse now, they don't want to get paperwork sent up to them from the precincts that show that they have violent felonies on there. When they know you could fudge those numbers and make them misdemeanors, and then the brass can go to the politicians and the mayor and say, look at us. Look how we've cut down on crime in our precinct. It is what's happening. This isn't speculation or some kind of, theory. So they say crime's down as we look outside and see crime happening. When Trump tries to do something about it, like he has in D.C., we get these liberal Democrats that just lose their minds. And now that Trump is saying, well, maybe we should take this D.C. thing on the road, do a little road show, Chicago, New York, L.A., San Francisco, places that are just, rife with crime and violence. And they are protesting it. They are in D.C. protesting the idea of trying to cut down on the crime. And the fact that they say it's extreme, it's fascism, it's oppressive, it's dictatorship, it's that shows you how far it's gone. That's what I was saying a little earlier. It shows us how out of control this has gotten. How lenient and just letting people get away with violent crimes we've allowed things to get. And I think there's a strategy there on the other side, if you want to call it that they want it to look bad. They want it to look like it's some kind of dictatorship. And that Trump is doing a power play, because that's what they're saying. This is all about power. It has nothing to do with fighting crime. Well, if you hadn't let it get this bad and we hadn't had these eunuchs in the Republican Party that did nothing to try to combat the Democrats' policies to just allow this to happen, then it wouldn't look like Trump has to go to these extremes just to clean things up, just to make it safe to walk around some of these streets. And that could very well be a strategy on their part. If somebody would have done something earlier and curtailed some of these crimes before they got just to be second nature. Now, they call it shoplifting. I've said many times, these are strong arm robberies that are happening. And they're stealing things out of CVS and Walmarts and everywhere. And no one does anything about it. And then you get to a point where people are disgusted and want to do something about it. Well, it's gotten so out of hand. And it's just so it's so just second nature. Like I said, people think that this is just the way of life now. That if you try to do something about it, you seem like you're doing something extreme or unconstitutional. When meanwhile, you're just trying to rein in something that is so far out of control. And they protest it. And people agree with it. They actually agree. They go, yeah, that is out of hand. We shouldn't treat people like this. I got a clip I'll play a little later. It's just disgusting. It's people actually making excuses for these robberies that are going on. Not shoplifting. You get a 14-year-old girl walks into a Sephora and she wants to, steal some mascara. That's shoplifting. Every kid has done it. But when you have a shopping cart and you're pouring goods in it like it's a supermarket sweep or one of those game shows, and anyone that looks at you the wrong way, you shoot them a look, you threaten them, don't come near me, I'll F you up. That's strong-arm robbery. That's a threat of violence. You're stealing under the threat of violence against them. So, to downplay it like it's shoplifting, it isn't. It's robbery. And the only reason they're protesting is because someone finally is trying to do anything about it. We'll be back with your phone calls. I see some phone calls about this in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Don't you go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Another Sunday. Crazy. Hope you were having a good weekend. Don't fret. There's still a couple of hours left of your fine weekend before you get that Monday thing. Ugh, I hate when that seeps in. I'm the worst. On Friday, I'm like, oh, Saturday, Sunday, it's Monday. Got a few phone calls. And let's go to Al. Al in Yonkers. Al, what's up, my friend?
Hey, Anthony. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
If there's any trouble with the line, it's, you go on to the next person.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say, back in 1968, when Nixon was successful against Humphrey, he actually ran on a law and order platform to win the presidency on his second attempt.
Right.
But actually, with the difference between others who've ran on that platform, President Trump is actually doing it. I mean, he's not talking the talk. He's also walking the walk. I mean, he's actually putting it into motion. And as you know, a lot of these cities are really in bad shape, like Memphis. I mean, if people wanted to go out down there to see Elvis, is Graceland or any of these tourist
it's
sites.
It's like a completely different place from, because Memphis, you bring it up. Obviously, there's civil rights history and whatnot. But you think about, all right, Elvis. You think about Memphis, country music, and it conjures up an image that is so far away from what is happening in Memphis right now. That's right. Terrible.
And it's really terrible. I mean, you see, Memphis is a indigent city. A lot of the people are really poor, and when you get that situation, violent crime spikes up. So it's good to see the president's doing what he told the American people, the silent majority, what he would do.
Look at the flack he's getting, Al. Look at the flack he's getting for doing nothing more than trying to fix a problem that has been in place for so long. Do you know, I heard somebody, I guess it was one of these MS Now, whatever they want to call it, shows, and they were bitching about hey, the National Guard, I was in town. I just saw them. They were sitting outside a Humvee doing nothing. They're just walking around doing nothing. So that means they don't belong there. How about the fact that they're there is why they can do nothing? They are a deterrent. It's like saying, the prison guards, they just walk around and look at the prisoners in their cages. Well, yeah, because they're there and the prisoners are in cages. There's a reason that crime is so down in D.C. in the week since Trump put this in place. And they don't want to see it like that. They want to go, no, it was always good and fine and everyone was safe. And these National Guardsmen and law enforcement is useless. And it's just garbage. Al, thank you so much, my friend. There goes the wonderful Al. Trump, he's been kind of suggesting that maybe, just maybe, we should take this on the road. Let's do some other cities and clean up and see what that's all about. And they're losing their minds. So here's Trump. He's talking about, cleaning up D.C. and suggesting other cities might be better off if he takes this on the road. Let's listen.
Unsafe. We couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years. So it's a great tribute to you. And when I look at you people, I understand why, because there's no games, right? We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital. And I guess it used to be many years ago safe, but it's certainly not had a very good run. And you got to be strong. You got to be tough. You got to do your job. Whatever it takes to do your job, you got to do your job. But the crime numbers are way down. I'm looking at, you saw.
Yeah. That's how do you argue with that? How do you argue with it? It's not martial law. It's not. They talk about it like, oh, it's Nazi Germany. This is like occupied France. And, you're roaming around and you see the soldier and you're like, uh-oh, we better be on our best behavior. No. If you're a citizen of Washington, D.C., you are looking around and like Trump said, a lot of people are saying this is great. This is amazing. Now, I don't even know how long you could keep up something like this. I don't think you could just keep the National Guard in a city. This has to be the opening salvo in a much wider thing. Wider. I didn't say wider. A much wider thing that includes law enforcement doing their jobs. And a lot of cops want to do their jobs. They're being told by the brass, who's being told by the politicians, that they're not allowed to do their jobs anymore. And who pays? The citizen that's getting clubbed over the head or pushed in front of a train or stabbed. That's the problem. So the attorneys general, as they say, in a weird plural sounding way to say that. And prosecutors, judges. I mean, how much time goes by in between seeing stories where a judge releases somebody back into the community to wreak havoc and injure people, assault them, murder, rob, rape? This is something that's happening all the time. And then they show a picture of the judge and everyone gets mad and says what should be happening. And it doesn't happen. And the judge stays there on the bench and lets more people go and more citizens are harmed or killed. Something has to be done about it. And like Trump put the National Guard in the streets, deputized certain elements of law enforcement that didn't have power to pull people over, to search people, to conduct arrests. And now they can. That has to be done. But then down the line, down that chain from law enforcement to incarceration has to be fixed too. And until that's done, you're just, you're arresting more people. That's great. You're scaring the people from the criminals anyway from going out on the street and doing what they do. But, what's happening down the line? They're getting back out and going back out onto the streets. And they know this isn't, you can't just do this in perpetuity. It has to end at some point. It's not financially viable for any length of time. So you got to fix the system while this is in place. And boy, that's a tougher nut than just putting some people on the street and having them arrest these thugs in these various cities. But I think people feel good about it. I've watched plenty of videos. You watch the protests and the idiots, and they talk about how this is tyrannical Trump doing what he does. But a lot of the regular citizens of D.C. have been talking about how great this is. I took my kid to a park that we could never go to, even during the day in D.C. People like Trump was talking about wanting to go to dinner. Your head's on a swivel constantly, just looking for a problem that's might cross your path. So to have law enforcement out there, as they say, doing nothing, is a good thing. But again, that needs to extend to the rest of the chain of dealing with these criminals and putting them in jail and keeping them there, just keeping them in jail. So here's a former police officer from Florida. It's Marty. What's up, Marty?
I love your videos on YouTube. And I used to work for the housing police, and I retired in 90. And at that time, it wasn't too bad. One of the things that hurt the city was when the departments merged.
Yeah.
But let me say this to you. The one thing that I don't like, and I'm wondering if Adolf Hitler and Joseph Goebbels are still alive, because when you hear these stories, these outrageous stories, it's always teenagers.
Yes.
And it's not really, what they're doing is they're substituting the word black for teenagers.
You hear teen ruffians. That was one. I heard teen ruffians. I'm like, what is this? What are we in, the medieval ages? Oh, a charlatan, a teen charlatan was hitting a woman over the head today. Oh, my God.
I want you people to know that if you think that it's going to be like Minor, some of the fiercest soldiers in Africa are the child soldiers, because these people have no respect for human life or their own. So it means nothing to them. But I'd like to have one day where the news says a gang of black kids was doing so-and-so instead of making broad brush that it's teenagers.
Yeah, well, they'll never do that because, the Democrats again, the liberal media again, they don't do that. They will never address a real issue like that. I mean, you're a former cop. You dealt with people. You dealt with these ruffians and teen charlatans and rogues. A teen rogue was, and look, they will never say it. There is a problem. There is a problem that needs to be addressed. I think there's and I said it. I got fired for it, saying that there's a violence problem within the black communities in these major inner cities, Democrat-run cities, and no one wants to talk about it. They're petrified to even say it.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I have, and I've paid for it with my job. But look, the truth is the truth. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, my friend. He goes retired to Florida, cop, probably has a boat. They all have boats. Every cop buddy I had, they love it. They go, yeah, come on down. We'll go out on my boat. I was like, yeah, how'd you buy that? Just shake down a few thugs and ruffians in your day. But the cops, they had to deal with it during many, many years. And, we wax fantastic, as they say, about the old days and some of the way the police handled things. I constantly bring up the wood shampoo. I think that is hilarious. Their old, what were those things made of? My God, like oak. I don't know, but those billy clubs they used to carry. Remember the cops would walk around spinning it? It had a leather,
strap.
A strap. Thank you. I'm trying to think of the word. A leather strap on it. And the cops walking the beat could spin that thing around. And it was just intimidating. It was, you'd look at that and you go, yeah, this guy, he loves that thing. He knows how to use it. And now, we got a police force in a lot of big cities that don't even look like they can do anything. We've seen videos of some of these cops that I'm sure were put at the front of the line for DEI and embarrassing videos. Like my friends, I have a lot of friends that are retired cops for NYPD. And when a story comes out and a video makes the rounds of two women that aren't really physically fit enough to take down any skinny perp that any guy cop would have been able to get under control in short time just a few years ago, and they're having the toughest time. And the guy is like playing with them, and they have to run away and try to chase this guy. They can't catch him. And, that's the police force now. I want that guy that was spinning the billy club around, scaring some of the people. Like, oh, I'm not going to do anything on this corner. That guy's nuts. They all had nicknames, too, which was weird. I remember even on Long Island, the Suffolk County cop, there was a guy with white hair, a cop with white hair, and they called him Stoneface in Suffolk County. And the story was he was a rookie, and he got a call that there was an accident on the Long Island Expressway. I remember this. And he pulled up, and there was just dead kids all over the street, and he had seen carnage like you couldn't believe. And overnight, his head of jet black hair went pure white, and Stoneface would never cut you a break because he had seen too much that night. And it was funny because sometimes you get pulled over by Stoneface, and you look in your rearview and go, oh, no, it's Stoneface. It worked. There was something about it that, there was this legend and this, you knew you got to respect the guy. You weren't going to roll the window down and start talking back to Stoneface. We need more Stonefaces on the force. Unless, big butt Latinas and skinny white chicks and the big fat black women with the beads in their hair sewn to their heads, and Stoneface, Billy Club swinging guy. We need it. It's the only thing we have that might get this problem reined in a little bit. Let's see. Oh, the lovely Susan. Susan, how are you, dear?
Hi there. Well, listen, I am so interested in what you're talking about. I'm so interested in just like how you do all these great topics.
I'm
yeah,
amazing.
I really like
Susan,
your vibe.
thank you.
I never knew you when you were Opie and Anthony because I was a big,
don't worry about that. That was shock jockery. Oh, if you ever Googled me and saw what I was doing back then, you'd be disgusted, Susan. You'd have to do probably 4 or 5 shots this hour instead of the normal 3. What's up, Susan? What do you want to ask? I would love to converse with you till the proverbial cows come home, but we need to cover some topics here, Susan. What's up?
All right. So what you're speaking about, the thing about the self-defense, and
Yes.
this a guy who went cuckoo and started, the people, he stopped them, and then he went after them.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, and then thinking about this Officer Islam who was, shot down
shot and
on
killed.
Park Avenue.
Yep.
But what I am interested in, because now I have one foot in Pennsylvania, and Bradford County is pretty rural, but all my neighbors, they're heavily armed. I'm not. But I want to know about unlethal firearms.
Less lethal.
Would have had one of those in New York.
Yes, less lethal, non-lethal, usually pepper spray, things like that. I mean, they have their place, but again,
No, Berna.
If you're granny, if you're grandma, you want the best tool available to you, which at that point is a firearm. I mean, there are some less lethal things you can use, and they are absolutely helpful in that situation. But sometimes, a nice iron strapped to your hip, right, Susan? A nice iron right there next to your flask on your hip.
I just want to shoot the guy where the sun doesn't shine and get away from him if he comes in.
I hear you, Susan. Yes, absolutely. Susan, thank you so much for your call and your accolades. I look forward to it every ding-dong weekend. There goes Susan. And we'll be back with more of the show. Don't go anywhere. The Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And we're talking about, crime, what to do about it, what Trump's doing about it in D.C., and being here live in New York City. I get a little New York-centric. I start talking about what I see here in this city, which is indicative of a lot of these big cities in the United States and the problems they have and the problems they have with law enforcement. We think about the old days and go, well, that would be great. Bring that back, because that seemed to work, and what they're doing now doesn't. You see these clips on social media all the time of the unbelievable disrespect for the police and the lack of ability for the cops to dispatch people. And I don't mean end their lives. I mean, they're trying to secure a bad guy. They're trying to control a situation, set up an area where they have control within that area. And now everyone is crowding around them with their phones, yelling at them, saying horrific things to them. And I don't know when it happened. When did this happen where the cops aren't even allowed to really address people saying horrific things to them? Oh, cops are supposed to be above that. They get some of these guys in some of these areas where, there is no respect for the cops. And they have to just go, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, please, thank you. And the young rapscallions, as the news might call them, are calling them terrible things, saying terrible things, not listening to orders. When did it become a thing where a cop can't tell somebody to get the F away from them? They're right in their faces. Sometimes they push them back a little and say, move back, move back. How about clearing an entire block perimeter when the cops have to do something? No, they got these thugs right in their face, videoing it. And by the way, the videos are hilarious. I got that on video. Yeah, you're only helping the police. They think that they're hurting the cops by showing what's actually happening. I want to see more. I want to see the cops given more latitude to start smashing some heads in these situations. But they're not allowed. They're just not allowed. And where did that come from? That came from the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and these politicians that have run on these platforms of, we're going to castrate the police department. Danny, he's a prime example of what we're seeing, the negative things we've seen happen with the police department, because de Blasio had a big part in that. And then you get these politicians that just, they cradle and nurture and tell these criminals it's okay, we'll let you out. They're okay. Every human deserves a chance and this and then they put him back out on the street to just keep doing the same exact thing. I saw a great clip over past couple of days. This guy down in the subway, New York City, and he's got a skateboard, and a guy, a thug, he seemed, all kinds of effed up on something, and he's got a knife. And this could have gone many different ways. But thank God the skateboard guy had the wherewithal to hit this guy in the face with his skateboard. Well, the cops show up microseconds later, like they were watching this and did nothing until something actually happened. And they put the skateboard guy on his knees and tell him to put his hands up. And until a woman yelled, "Hey, that guy's got a knife," because he kind of fell into onto the tracks from the platform. And they get the guy out of there and then start doing their job. But, as far as the cops are concerned, they saw this poor gentleman assaulted by a man with a skateboard and were ready to, crack down on the guy with the skateboard, when, truth be told, you have to take care of yourself down there. And the guy did, because the guy had a knife and didn't look like he had any qualms about using it against somebody. And, something's got to be done. And again, like I just said before, the big picture, that's what needs to be dealt with. You can't just do one thing. This has to go from law enforcement right through the system to incarceration and everywhere in between. And I think we used to have that to an extent. And during the Giuliani years in New York City, I think people were pretty happy with the way criminals were being treated. They were being treated like criminals. You wanted them arrested and put away. I got a story. We'll bring it up in the next break or so. And this was Memdani. He absolutely believes that misdemeanor crimes should be eliminated. This is how insane. When you look at crimes like misdemeanors and even violations, turnstile jumping, this is what you use to get guns and to arrest people that are doing much more serious crimes. You take that out of the arsenal, and you're letting these criminals go to the next level and commit crimes that are even worse, or walk around the streets with a gun until they use it. Yeah, that's how it works. You want to stop them when they're committing crimes that aren't that serious, so they don't get to commit the unbelievably serious crimes. All right, back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. The Anthony Cumia Show. That is what it is. Couple of things. Still talking a little bit about crime in the cities and what's being done about it. And the morons, imbeciles that don't understand that this is a problem. And law enforcement needs to take care of it. The courts need to take care of it. And the prison system needs to take care of it. And here's some people, delusional D.C. residents. I've told you about the people that like this. Those are the people that work for a living. They go out They spend their money in restaurants. They have kids. They go to the park. Maybe an old person that just wants to take the old walker. They take their little walker with the tennis balls on the front, and they go to the CVS and talk the pharmacist's ear off while you're behind them, just waiting for them to get out of the way. But I digress. Those are the people that want their cities cleaned up. But here's a couple of examples of just idiots. And I think AOC was saying something like this a few years back. Remember when she was saying that the looting that was going on was just people trying to get bread and diapers for their kids, and they're desperate for the most basic of human needs like food and stuff. That is not who are committing these crimes. Not a one. I don't think one person is hungry and is going into a store and stealing food. Not one. So let's listen to a couple of people with this delusion that people are stealing because the economy is so bad, or Trump is so bad, or humanity is so bad that they are forced to do this, commit crimes for their own well-being. Listen to this nonsense.
I'm stuck. I mean, it's bad to do. At the same time, they're probably doing it for a reason. They need those things, but they shouldn't just be going in and clearing the shelves because this isn't sustainable for the store.
A lot of folks actually can't afford any of the things in there. I'm not saying that stealing has to be the solution to that, right? However, I don't know, maybe the city could provide more accessible resources to unhoused or under-income folks that can provide them like hair care, bodily care, hygiene care, etc. That could be an option.
Unhoused. Ugh. They try so hard to come up with these names for things to make it sound not as bad, to make it sound more like victims. You know, they're unhoused. Yeah, they're homeless. And there's a reason. Most of them are insane, legit mental patients. To think that people are stealing because they need food or diapers for their family is so delusional. These people are roaming the stores with shopping carts and just packing them full of goods. And then they put them, they're shopping. They're shopping for things like the most valuable items. Then they put them in a bag and they walk right out of the store. So it kind of looks like they're shopping at first because they're loading up the cart, but they just take it out of the cart, put it in bags, and walk away with this. They don't take it home with them. These things go to a fence. I don't know what they call them in this century. The old days, I think it was a fence. Yeah, don't let the screws see you. And it's bought. You know, they pay the people that stole these things. And then they get some Nigerians to go out on the street. They put a blanket or a tarp out on the street. And they lay out shampoo, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, whatever they've stolen in bulk from these stores. And then they sell it for pennies on the dollar. And that's how it goes. It goes round and round, and it never ends because, again, it's been allowed. This has been allowed. And I can't imagine being so stupid, so ignorant to what is actually going on that you believe these people are doing this for their own survival. They're stealing and getting money from the fence for, whatever, drugs, I guess. Maybe some new hair and nails. But that's what they're doing. They're stealing not for food, not to feed their kids. It's part of a criminal enterprise. This is an organized crime. And there are many people involved. It is profitable to everyone involved because it's stealing. So now when you walk in a store and everything's locked behind plexiglass and You have to get some person that isn't that bright. Let's be honest. I don't think I've ever seen a CVS employee with an IQ above 55, being generous. And now you give them a big ring full of keys, and they got to find the right key, and you're just fuming. I just want some speed stick. I just need some shampoo. And this poor, dumb person can't open the cabinet that shouldn't be there in the first place. We've accepted this. Why have we accepted this as our new normal? Well, yeah, we have to lock our stuff up because people steal it. Well, why don't you take care of the problem? Why don't they actually club the person over the head that's trying to steal it? Well, no, you can't do that. Why? Well, one is lawsuits. I think lawyers have a lot to do with why we can't take care of problems when they come into your zone of engagement. You own a business. You have you have money invested in it, and you want to turn a profit. I think that's pretty normal for any business. And now people come in and they ravage your store with theft, and you do what you should be able to do as a business owner. You clock them over the head. Now you're arrested for assault. You're sued by the person or the family, if you have dispatched them, for millions of dollars. You're tied up in court, and finances are gone. You lose your business. And that has made people stop doing what needs to be done. And the new normal becomes lock up everything so that your average law-abiding citizen has to go through this unbelievably ridiculous process. And your 55 IQ employee has to now walk around like a warden with keys, trying to understand what somebody's saying when they just want some chapstick. That's where we are. We can't allow that to continue. Why we've allowed it to become commonplace and the norm is bad enough. It's bad enough. And if we do get the opportunity to crack down on this, anybody that has a problem with it should be told to mind their own business. They have no say in the matter. Any lawyer that tries to bring about a frivolous, baseless lawsuit against a business owner that was doing nothing more than protecting what is theirs should be disbarred. No judge should entertain these type of cases. This is the real stuff that needs to be done. But the first thing we have to do is stop giving the people power that want to prevent this from happening. Don't let them bully people into locking up their goods and not doing what needs to be done when someone comes in trying to steal from them. There was a time, my friends, you would have been petrified to walk into a store owned by some German immigrant and steal from it, hand you your ass. And now they'd rather just lock things up. And that's okay. It's fine to have all the things locked up. That's your problem, law-abiding citizen. You did this. Well, how did I do this? Well, you were very mean to people that needed food and diapers for their kids. You were very mean to them. And you voted for Trump, who just made it more difficult for these people, the unhoused, to get their food and diapers for their kids. So you're responsible for having to spend 20 minutes in a CVS while a bumbling buffoon looks like a child putting a square peg in a round hole on a game on your living room floor. And that's where we are. So stop looking at any of this like it's normal. Stop looking at it like this is the way it's just is and it's going to be forever and ever. And let's get on changing things. Let's get on that bandwagon and change things. Take the plexiglass off the goods and let's start showing the criminals that they're not allowed to come in there. And they will get their ass handed to them. And there will be no recourse for them to win the ghetto lotto by getting beaten by a store owner and then turning it around and making themselves the perpetual victim once again. We got to do something. And electing Mamdani ain't it. Let me put it that way, too. Ugh, I'll get to that story about him. What a dunce that guy is. I love that Sid Rosenberg here does mornings at WABC Radio, called him an animal, and he got all touchy about that. He got all mad, and he commented on it. Oh, love it. All right, back in moments. Stick around. The Anthony Cumia Show continues.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show on another beautiful Sunday evening. Spend your Sunday evenings with Anthony Cumia. There is something happening in this country. I didn't know it was going on. And it's dangerous. And once again, I think we can look at things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, and liberals, Democrats, screwing up something that was once looked at as respectable, safe. The trucking industry. This is, again, another thing that you look at and you read about and you watch videos and you go, how the hell did this happen? There is an element of illegal aliens in this country from India. And somehow what they do is drive trucks, tractor trailers. I had no idea this was happening. Apparently a lot of people driving trucks now are from India. And they are not very good at it. Truck drivers, I mean, it was, an adventurous occupation. It was something that was respected. It was a tough job. And you had your image of the long-haul trucker, usually from somewhere like Texas, maybe. Strong guy. Didn't take much guff. And he knew how to drive a truck. Snowman from Smokey and the Bandit. There it is. Jerry Reed. Jerry Reed. Watch Smokey and the Bandit. That right there should tell you what a truck driver is. Burt Reynolds leading Jerry Reed with a truck full of Coors, just trying to make it back to Georgia, make a few bucks. And as a kid, you were fascinated by the truck driver. Remember sitting in the suicide seat of a station wagon? Yes, kids, let me tell you what that was like. There was a rearward-facing seat in a station wagon. And the parents were totally fine with putting their kids to look right out that back window, inches from the tailgate, sitting in a seat over the gas tank at breakneck speeds. That was a thing, I swear to you. No seatbelt. And when a truck driver pulled up behind you, you would give them that universal signal of honk the horn. And they would do it, and oh, would you love it as a kid. That truck driver, and then as he pulled around, you heard that diesel engine, and he kind of gave you a little wave or a tip of the hat. Nothing better as a kid. That was a truck driver. Well, now You have illegal alien Indians who decide to make U-turns in the middle of a highway. This is a horrible, tragic story that we've heard about. 3 people killed because this guy that did not know what in the hell he was doing. There was no reason he should have been behind the wheel of a tractor trailer. And he killed people. He killed people with his complete incompetence. Let's look. This driver, the investigation administered an English language proficiency. Easy for you to say. Assessment in accordance with the guidelines put in place. The driver failed the assessment, providing correct responses to just two ponderous out of 12 verbal questions, and only accurately identified 1 of 4 highway traffic signs. How? This is so basic. This is such basic. You should not be allowed behind the wheel if you can't pass the simplest of tests. And in California, they are issuing drivers a limited term non-domicile CDL, commercial driver's license. In other words, they're giving commercial driver's license to people that are not American citizens. And what are we supposed to do? They're once again endangering us as American citizens. We're supposed to, aren't we supposed to hold the government accountable when they do stuff and put things in place, change laws, protocol, policies, and it directly affects the safety of American citizens? Shouldn't they be held responsible? How did this guy that killed 3 people with his absolute incompetence as a commercial truck driver, a licensed commercial truck driver, how did that happen? And then they arrest him. And last I heard, it was a couple of million signatures to pleading for this guy's release, pleading for some type of pardon, so he doesn't even have to stand trial for murdering 3 people with his absolute incompetence as a driver. So who is held accountable? Why is this the new normal? There had to be somebody. I believe it was in the state of California who was issued this license. Is Newsom to be held responsible? Is that what we're going to do? Of course not. Of course not. But again, we could arrest this guy. We could even put him on trial, jail him, deport him, whatever. But until the entire big picture, again, is taken care of, and not one license is given to one of these illegals that have no clue what is needed to drive a giant death machine down the road. Until that happens, it's just going to happen again and again. And what are you called when you say we shouldn't give illegal alien Indians who don't know English a license? What are we? I can hear you. What? Yes, racists. That's right. That's what you're called. If you dare say, because he can't speak English, that he shouldn't drive a giant death machine. How does that happen? How did we get to a place where something as common sense worthy as needing to know how to read traffic signs, if you're going to be hurtling down the highway in a machine, a huge machine, and somehow we're wrong for saying that maybe, just maybe, they shouldn't be behind the wheel of these vehicles. Ugh, it's disgusting. And this is happening, people. This is, like I said, with locking up your groceries and what you need to live. It's become the new normal. And it's looked at as extreme to try to put a stop to it. Well, it's not. We need to do something. All right, kids. We'll be back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in. And we have a guest. We have a guest, Mr. Arthur Pfizenmayer. What a name. Arthur Pfizenmayer. He is a former FBI agent and a senior advisor right now to Home Title Lock. Good evening, Mr. Pfizenmayer. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you. The last name really is Fitzenmeyer. A little
Fitzenmeyer. Oh, that,
yeah,
see.
It's easier than it looks.
It is. That is a tough one. You must have had to, oh, God, imagine even as a young man having to spell that for people. Could you spell it? And you're just like, oh, God, here it comes.
I could spell it before I was two, probably, because every time any adult said it around me, they had to spell it to whoever they were talking to. And my children the same way. They could spell it before they got to school.
And
simply because we were always spelling it all the time.
And having that on your FBI credentials, look out, it's Agent Pfizenmayer.
Yeah. Well, my credentials were bigger. My name was so long,
Yeah, big, long book of creds. As far as the FBI goes, what was, were you organized crime early on?
I worked organized crime, labor racketeering most of my bureau career, specializing in electronic surveillance, wiretaps.
Where out of what city primarily, or anywhere?
Primarily about 11 or 12 years in Chicago, and the remainder of my 26 years here in San Diego.
Oh, now Chicago, I would think a lot of organized crime there, but San Diego, yeah, a lot of. When
I got out here, they asked me to come out here because tribal gaming was just starting to raise its profile, and they knew that those guys whose last names they don't need to buy a vowel for were very interested. And by the time I got out here, they were nibbling around the edges, and so we had a lot of success out here, essentially stopping them at the state line, so to speak, because the system was so skewed to make it easy that it was easier for us to get the probable cause to execute a wiretap. And so we had a lot of significant organized crime figures that we arrested and brought to trial out here in San Diego.
Yeah. Damn.
Tinkering around with the tribal gaming.
I would, I'm not surprised in that gambling brings organized crime in.
Yeah.
That seems to be kind of hand in hand. And
sure.
You're working with Home Title Lock now. And this is, I had a meeting with your associates, and I just didn't know this was happening. I had no idea because, look, it's 2025. A lot of our lives are digitized. We're up online. A lot of people, I laugh when people go, oh, I'm not going to do that online. I don't want to put my information out there. It's out there. It's all out there. Everything's presented to people as a convenience at first, and then you realize that it can also be very detrimental. And you're not an expert. I mean, you are, but the average layman, they're not experts in digital crime. So it's very difficult for them to protect themselves against things like credit card theft, and pretty much everything could be stolen from you these days. But I didn't know this. Your house can literally be stolen from you. Not like a squatter, or they pull up with a tractor trailer and tow your house away. Yeah. You can own it, have it, and then all of a sudden you don't own it anymore.
Anthony, a lot of people sit around completely unaware of the vulnerability. The one document out there for every homeowner that identifies the owner of record, the person who has the authority to do something with that property, that is a document that is actually on file in your county recorder's office, wherever the property is located.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it becomes a public document. Anybody can get a copy of it. And lots of times, like you said earlier, we're living in the digital age. They can probably get a copy of your title or your deed without ever leaving their grandmother's basement, quite frankly.
Right.
It's that simple to get it. And then with AI and with photoshopping and all those things that are those apps that are out there now, they can change the name on that document. It looks like you sold it to them. They can file it for $30 or $40 or whatever it takes to their local recorder's office, and they essentially have changed the ownership on that piece of property with that piece of paper from your name to their name. And they don't just sit around and admire your house. They figure out how much equity you have, and they start taking out real estate loans,
right?
Using the equity that you have as collateral for those loans.
Yeah,
and you don't know about it.
Because, when you talk about stealing your house or house stealing, you would assume if you play it out in your head, it's like, well, what are they going to do? Move in? Kick me out? But you won't even know that this had happened until equity is drained out of your house. It's just another way to steal from you. And there's really not much recourse that people have if this happened, right?
Well, no, there isn't. Once they get the money's gone. I mean, before the ink is dry, it's in 3 different countries. Jeez. And they probably did it with a false identity. So you're not going to have any idea what the hell's going on, quite frankly. You'll be, kind of high and dry on the whole deal because it's all happened without your knowledge.
Yeah.
And until the lender shows up at your front door and says to you, you haven't paid on this mortgage. Oof. And so I'm going to go to court and get a judge to authorize me to sell your house so I can get my money back. They don't want your house. Yeah. They want the money back that they loaned to the bad guys because it's gone. Well, you don't know where it is.
Yeah,
they don't know where it is.
They've moved on to somebody else. They took the equity out of your house, and now you're screwed.
The mortgage company knows where the money is. It's in your house.
Yeah.
And they're going to get a court to authorize them to sell it. It's called foreclosure.
Imagine.
And it's an ugly set of circumstances you don't want to get into if you don't have to. And I have what I call Agent Art's pop quiz for homeowners. And it's 3 questions. 1, do you know what your title looks like? Mm-hmm. 2, when was the last time you saw your title? And 3, do you know where your title is right now? And they're going to look at you with, the glassy eye, you stare and say, I don't know. Maybe when I bought the house 12 years ago, I saw the title. And that's really the situation. They're completely lack of knowledge about their most important asset. That's their house, the equity on their home.
Right.
And guess what? The bad guys know what those answers are. And they can go out and get that information so easily and change the name and essentially take ownership of your house. Now, you want to think, well, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not going to happen to me. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got some bad news for you. If it does, it's a legal, financial, and emotional nightmare that'll take you years to straighten out.
Oh, yeah. Even if it does get straightened out at some point, it's taken years and cost you a lot of money to try to remedy this, and
Anthony,
your credit's probably destroyed.
I've been with the company almost 9 years now. Right after I joined, I got a call from a gentleman on the West Coast, actually, and he said, look, I don't know if you can help me or not, but somebody stole all the equity out of my house, and I don't know how to get it back. And I said, well, I can't do much for you, quite frankly, because the house, the cow's out of the barn, but you should get an attorney right away because you're going to have to take this to court to prove that you didn't execute that loan.
Yeah.
And he called me back. He was nice enough to call me back a couple of years later. And, he said, I just wanted to let you know that the court awarded the house to us. We got our house back in our name. He said, that's the good news. The bad news is it cost me so much in legal fees, I had to sell the house to pay the attorney.
Yeah. A
that's
lot of
how
people,
crazy it gets.
it's like I said, man, a lot of people don't know that this is a thing. And, what can people do there, Arthur? Let everyone know what home title lock is about and how it differs from just the bank coming to your door.
What they can do so they don't have to worry about the answer to those three questions and Agent Art's pop quiz is sign up and subscribe to HomeTitleLock.com. This company has been in business since probably 2014, 2015. I mean, we know what we do, and we do it better than anybody else. Our software we built, it doesn't do anything but watch your title for you 24/7. And if something disturbs your title, our software notifies you that there's been a disturbance on your title. And if it's available, they'll send you a copy of the document that caused that disturbance. And then it'll tell you to call Home Title Lock right away. And if you don't recognize it, then our restoration, we have the best USA customer service, the best ever. These people are all class acts, every one of them. And I know, quite frankly, because I did the backgrounds on every one of them. And these are great people. And they know what to do to get you through this before somebody knocks on your door and says, we're going to sell your house. The idea really is, don't sit around at night thinking, well, it won't happen to me. What you can do is feel comfortable at night and not worry about it, because Home Title Lock will take care of it for you 24/7.
Yeah, there's just too much going on these days, especially digitally, to pay attention to everything that can possibly happen to you by yourself. So, all right, how can people get this Home Title Lock?
Rather than play roulette with their home equity, they should go to HomeTitleLock.com and sign up, register. It's very simple. And you go to the website and it'll walk you through it. And before you go to bed tonight, you'll not have to worry about somebody stealing your house while you're asleep. And every day thereafter, we will watch it for you. You know, it's like 62 cents a day. As I tell people, if you would skip one of your designer drive-through coffees once a week,
for the price
you'd
of
have
a
enough
cup
money
of coffee
at the end of the year to pay for all of a year's subscription and probably have enough left over for a tank or two of gasoline, except on the West Coast. We don't even get a half a tank out here. But it's that important and it's that simple.
Arthur,
you just go sign up and rest easy. We're going to take care of you.
Yeah, it sounds great, and great talking to you, sir. And
My pleasure.
For a Fed, you seem like a pretty nice guy. But thank you.
Hey, watch yourself. I know where you live.
I bet you do. All right, Arthur. Thank you, man.
It was my pleasure.
Take care, buddy. Here's Arthur from Home Title Lock. What are you doing? You're going to lose your house. We're going to lose the house. What the hell are you? We're going to lose the goddamn house. There you go. Turn my monitor around so I could take calls again. Ooh, here it is, Arthur. Arthur, what happened, Benjamin? Where did my house go? Theft. See? Theft. You even have to worry about with your house, not just walking down the street, or if you're going to CVS. There it is. There are my phone calls. I need the mouse, too, if you could get that to me, because I got phone calls. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Joaquin in PA. What's up, my friend?
Hey, good evening, Mr. Cumia.
Hawaii.
Hey, you remember that? Do you remember this one? Nothing beats a good piece of hickory. Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Hickory, right? Whatever a hardwood is that you can cave in a hard head with. What's
hickory
up?
Shampoo. Anyway, I want to get to the trucking thing. Actually, I came to the end of my 40-some-odd year trucking career because I just physically can't do it anymore. But these CDL licenses now, since basically 1986 or 1991, when it was actually, put into enforcement, okay? Mm-hmm. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, okay? This regulates, every driver's license now is regulated federally, no matter what state it's issued from. It's all federal guidelines, and they become more stringent over time. So it's my personal opinion that the Trump administration actually could take use of a good piece of hickory and take it to these blue cities and states that are doing this, because they're basically breaking federal laws, what they're doing.
Well, why does it seem like they can break federal laws? They can completely override what the president obviously can do by being the president. We've seen these activist judges that have done this over the course of the years with Trump. And, why does it seem to take so long if it happens at all? Yeah, let's get on this. Make sure not another one of these illegals, these DEI hires by these trucking companies ever gets behind the wheel again.
No, exactly. And again, it's not just actually Indians. I mean, they're basically people from all over the third world, a lot of South Americans. You'd be surprised at how many people can't speak English. It's just it's amazing. And that's part of the mandates is they actually have to be able to read and write English sufficient enough to be able to, to read signs and to be able to go through their duties.
Joaquin, you know how many people find what you just said, which is absolute common sense, to be horribly racist and xenophobic, and just the thought of someone saying, "Hey, you need to speak English in America." It gets people. They shake. They start shaking. It's the same people that cry at the beach when they see someone put an American flag up by their chair, and they're like, I had to look at an American flag today. Those fascist racists that put up American flags. It's that insane. But like I said, something's got to be done about it. Joaquin, thanks so much, man. Yes, something has to be done about it. We can't just let it continue. And unfortunately, things like this have to happen in order for enough people to say, what? How is this even happening? Why is a guy that cannot identify road signs, why is he in a giant truck on the road, and it results in the death of innocent people? So I don't know. It's beyond me how anyone defends stuff like this. Look at me. My mic is falling down. One more thing before we take another quick break. Crime is way down in D.C. And let's listen to some of the stats or someone talking about, how it's down, why it's down under this Trump policy. And then we'll take that one into a break.
When the National Guard hit the ground in Washington last week, that city's crime fight went into overdrive. And now we're seeing the impact and the dramatic reductions in crime. When the National Guard rolled into Washington last week, the locals seemed skeptical.
The crime is minimal here. There's not really a lot of crime here. It looks a little like window dressing to me.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
When you have these kind of numbers going down, it basically says this is a success, and that means people feel safer.
Like many big cities, Washington's police department is critically short-staffed.
People who don't feel safe aren't free.
Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says it is ripe for federal help.
More police generally equals less crime.
Yeah. Why can't people get that through their thick heads? They want to put all kinds of social programs in place. They want social workers to answer calls instead of cops. They handcuff, the cops. They don't allow them to do their jobs. And then they wonder why the National Guard needs to be in the streets for there to be 7 straight days without a murder. Like, people are amazed by that. Shouldn't that just be the way things are? Shouldn't a week be able to go by without someone being murdered? And then when it happens, they're like, whoa, how about that? Look, no one was murdered in a week. But those are results. That's what happens. And there will still be these idiots that just will not think it's a good idea. and they'll protest, and politicians will come out and say it's terrible. And, what are we left with? We'll be back in a couple of minutes. I want to talk about some celebrity idiots. Sarah Silverman being one of them. And then I guess Jack White from White Stripes is another jackass. There's always these celebrities. Sarah, we've all known. But and I could assume Jack White was going to be a jerk. But, yeah, we'll hear what they have to say about Trump and what's going on in the country in moments. Be right back. Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in. Spoke briefly about Gavin Newsom. Is this guy the guy? Is this going to be their big, candidate for president? Because I heard, my sources, I have no sources. Somebody, something I scrolled through, said Newsom AOC. There's your Dem ticket for president. And I couldn't imagine a worse ticket. I probably could, but that just sounds really terrible. I don't think Newsom has enough appeal. Women like him because he's handsome. He's so handsome, but he has screwed up California so badly. And he's a weird guy. He's just a weirdo. And not like Trump weird. People call Trump weird. Trump isn't weird when you look at who Trump was before he was president. He's a construction guy, a developer, dealt with, concrete and steel and things like that. He's a smart ass. He likes to bust balls. So he's not weird. He's just that guy. And having that guy as a president might seem a little weird. But Newsom is just a weird guy. His mannerisms are strange. And he's a little femmy. He's a little femmy for my liking as a president. I think Adam Carolla talks about it all the time when he crosses his legs, and he crosses his legs like a broad. You look like a goyle. Look at him crossing his stems like some kind of broad. And then just his record is terrible. Look at gas prices everywhere else in the country. Whether you think they're too high or, they've come down, whatever it is, all over the country, everyone else looks at California gas prices and goes, what? Even if you're paying $3 and change anywhere else in the country, it's $7 and change at that point in California. And when it was up to $5 under Biden nationally in a lot of places, it was close to $10 a gallon, if not more than that, in California. And that's all taxes. And, again, that's your governor and all these harebrained liberal policies they put in place. And, Newsom's defended all that. He's laughed at Donald Trump when Trump talked about the fires that happened in California and maybe taking some preemptive steps in curtailing the fires. Clearing some of these forests, clearing some of the dead, dried wood and vegetation around some of these neighborhoods that are very vulnerable to fires. And they laughed. Oh, look at him. Oh, really? Rake? A rake is going to help? And it was the same nonsense when they were laughing at Trump saying, remember when Trump told everyone to drink bleach for COVID? He never said that. And then it's like, oh, he told you to grab a rake and rake the forests. He didn't say that either. But there are certain things you can do to kind of help prevent your neighborhoods burning down when forest fires happen in California. But they never did it. So his record's terrible. But now he's trying this I want to be Trump thing where he's being a little more vulgar. He curses. He's trying to be outrageous with his social media. And it just doesn't work. It works for Trump because of who Trump is and who he was before he was president. It doesn't come off phony. It comes off like, yeah, that's the guy. I remember this guy. He used to be in the newspaper all the time with his casinos and his airline and things that worked, things that failed. He was a celebrity. He was, like I said, a ball buster. He'd go on Howard Stern's show. And it's natural to hear him talk the way he does as president. When you see Newsom and the spy screwer there, Swalwell, and the rest of that ilk, and now all of a sudden they're trying to sound hard. They're trying to sound like Trump. Yeah, I'm going to use the F word. And it just comes off as ridiculous. I think I got time for this, don't I? Newsom talking about 8 of the 10 deadliest states. You got time for that one? Yeah, play that.
Well, I think you should start with Shreveport, Louisiana, in Speaker Johnson's district that has 6+ times the per capita murder rate of Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco. What about the carnage, Mr. President, in Shreveport? Why aren't you protecting the folks there? 8 of the top 10 murder states in this country, red states. What? And everyone knows it. Everybody knows it. Again, it's acts of authoritarianism. It's acts of power on a person that is trying to use his its formal authority, and it's depleting. And it's weak. It's increasingly weak, and it's increasingly desperate. And that's why it's important for us at this moment to meet him head on, not just rhetorically, but through substantive counteractions. And that's what we're doing in California with this ballot initiative.
Insane. 8 of the 10 deadliest states are red. How about the cities? They never want to look at the cities, the Democrat-run crap hole cities that are rife with violent crime. He's talking about Shreveport, Louisiana. Look at that city. Look who's in charge. Look at the demographic. Again, you're just going to see business as usual in these blue cities in red states, and then they try to blame it on the states? Get out of here. We'll be back. Take more of your calls and more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. No show is complete without a little look into the celebrities. Yes, we love our celebrities. You know, the word celebrity means to celebrate. We celebrate them. Yuck. Remember when they were amazing people? Oh, every so often, on social media, see an old clip from Johnny Carson. Oh, or whatever interview show from the past, and celebrities. They meant so much to us. Award shows. You'd watch those things and just be like, yes, I'm so glad that person won. I love that actor. I loved that movie. I'm glad they won. Now, I couldn't get through an award show. Everyone that steps up there, you're like, oh, this idiot. Oh, this guy. Remember them talking about this, trying to tell you how to live your life from the ivory tower, the gated community? As they pat each other on the back. No one cares about celebrities anymore. And forget about what they have to say. Oof. So our most recent duo here of idiot celebrities, Jack White. You may remember Jack White. He was part of the White Stripes, the singer, guitar player. And he was scorned because he had scorned the Trump administration on Wednesday after the White House called him a washed-up loser. This is... You know what's great about the Trump White House and the Trump administration and their access to social media? They know what kills these people. The worst thing you could tell a celebrity is that they're washed up. Oh, they'll say it's fine. Oh, really? Am I? That's all celebrities think about. You're only as good as your last movie. You're only as good as your last song. And let's be real here. Jack White hasn't really been tearing up the charts with anything he's done. So calling him washed up does hurt, no matter what they say. In a lengthy Instagram post, White retaliated against the White House Communications Director, Stephen Chung, calling him a has-been with an anti-Trump screed that questioned President Donald Trump's humanity and called him a con man and a lowlife fascist. Man, the fascist thing. Can you just have a touch of, be in touch a little with reality? Is he really a fascist? Are you not allowed to do every single thing that any other American is allowed to do by rights in this country? But the fascist, the fascism of hearing opinions you don't like? Is that the fascism? Yes, sorry. Jack White said, no intelligent person could defend this lowlife fascist, this bankrupter of casinos. I love how they pull that one out. This failed seller of Trump steaks, Trump vodka, Trump water, etc., he wrote. This man and his goon squad have failed upwards for decades and have fleeced the American people over and over again. The Seven Nation Army singer, they have a song from years ago, came after Chung slammed him for mocking Trump's new Oval Office decoration in a statement of the Daily Beast. Jack White is a washed-up has-been loser, posting drivel on social media because he clearly has ample time on his hands due to his stalled career. I gotta be honest. That kills you. If you are Jack White and, you had hit songs and you're playing to packed arenas, being told that you're frustrated and have ample time on your hands due to your stalled career, that'll hurt. That will hurt. I talk to Sid all the time about, because we've both been in trouble, Sid Rosenberg and myself, in the radio business. And when you're on the outs, when you're down in that valley of your career, hoping to hit another summit, anything people say about you, it does sting. It does sting. I don't care what anyone tells you. I don't care. No, I don't care. Oh, you care. So Jack White apparently did care. It's apparent he's been masquerading as a real artist because he fails to appreciate the, quite frankly, disrespects the splendor and significance of the Oval Office inside of the people's house. Here it is. I guess White said something to the effect of, look how disgusting Trump has transformed the historic White House. It's now vulgar, gold-leafed and gaudy. Professional wrestler's dressing room, the musician said. So they've been going back and forth on this thing. I personally kind of like the White House, how Trump has done it up. I mean, it's kind of the thing with a president. They get in there. He's not a fascist. He's not a dictator, so he's not going to be there forever. The 2028 hats and jokes are hilarious. And I love how it gets people so upset. He's going to try to run again. He isn't. Don't worry about it. But it's a great joke, and he knows it upsets people, so that's why he does it. But the different personalities that the Oval Office has had over the course of the years is part of picking a new president and them having an influence not only on the country, but on the Oval Office and the White House over the course of their tenure. It's always been that way. Remember stupid Jackie Kennedy, going around the White House, putting all her little things in? They did a big interview with her, and she's walking around going, well, I decided this room should be blue. And she sounded drugged out. Oh, it was great, though. And that's what we look for. A little personality, Trump loves gaudy and gold leaf. And it's not strippers up on the wall. He's got patriots, past presidents, busts of world leaders and civil rights leaders. And then someone else comes in and they could do what they want. That's how it works. But again, they hate it. They hate anything this guy does. They don't want him to have any influence over anything as president. The other jackass is Sarah Silverman. Ugh, this one. Another one who her comedy gets the excuses and what I like calling the convenience of context. She's done certain bits on TV shows in blackface, like offensive old school minstrel show, blackface. And she goes, well, we were, it was the context. What we were doing was laughing at it and showing it for what it was. And so whenever they do something, they say, well, you're not considering the context, the comedy, what our intent was. But then they never allow other people to have the convenience of context when they do things that are deemed offensive. Only they can be so wise in order to do things that others would deem offensive if others had done it. So here she is just talking about Trump and being a dumb liberal, and here she is, Sarah Silverman.
Trump. You do not have to consume his content. Now that sounds incredibly privileged. I believe you do not have to at all consume his content and let that chip away at your physical and mental health.
Could you pause for a second? Yes, you do. Yes, you do, Sarah. Yes, you do. You can't help it. People like Sarah Silverman and the mental patients that protest and the yelling people on college campuses, you have to consume his content. You don't know any other way. It upsets you so much that you cannot hold it in. And you need to yell about it and scream and let it ruin your lives. So enough of this, you don't have to consume it. You do. It's the only reason you're speaking like this is because you have to consume it and deal with it, and you can't. A little more of Sarah here.
Ed, touch grass when you can, and focus inward. Focus on each other. Focus inward. I'm not saying totally disengage. I'm saying re-engage.
What?
I'm saying go within. This is not something I made up. I think it was some very wise Buddhist maybe or something. Go within. All the answers are there. Taking care of ourselves, taking care of each other. It doesn't have to include him. You don't have to keep up with every disgusting thing he says. Their whole purpose is owning the libs. There's no ideology. It's an act of hatred and a need for superiority. We need only to focus on caring for the people suffering in his wake, the detritus he leaves behind, picking up those pieces and taking care of each other. So this is what I have to offer. Hopefully I'll think of better things. I hope a lot of people are thinking of much smarter, active things, but that's what I got. Let's take.
You got nothing. See how much it bothers her? She's saying, like, you don't have to consume it. Think within, like, be at peace with yourself. Don't let everything he says get to you. And then that's all she does. And the people she's talking to are lunatics. And that's all they can think about. They're consumed with Donald Trump every single hour of every single day. And by the way, look within, be better, be good, be this, be that. They're the most outwardly violent people you'll ever find, these liberals. If you have a difference of opinion at one of their little nut job protests, you can absolutely expect to have some type of violence perpetrated upon you. It's just they cannot help themselves. I have another example. I'll get to it after the break of Gavin Newsom threatening violence. And, we've heard so many times how the Democrats say, oh, another dog whistle from the Republicans. It might sound innocent enough, but what they mean is go out there and kill people or hurt people or destroy people's lives. They are the ones that are constantly doing that. They are the ones that don't even use this imaginary dog whistle. They call openly for violence against people that have differing opinions from themselves. And after this break, we'll hear Gavin Newsom with his latest call for violence against Republicans. More of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And talking about the threats of violence that the Democrats, liberals, especially these very malleable, very impressionable lunatics that follow the liberal left. These are people that are easily swayed and easily made to do things, do the bidding of a lot of these politicians and a lot of these extremists. It just goes to, watch them. Anytime you get a group of people that will chant, one person has a bullhorn and they're saying something idiotic, it has some rhyme to it. Whose streets are streets? We're here, we're queer, we're fabulous, get used to us. All the little sayings. And you get a group of people that are chanting back, what's his name? And they yell the name. Those are very weak-minded people. They're not very smart. And they're, like I said, extremely impressionable. And they don't have a lot of sense of self. They'd much rather be part of this organism than be an individual. It gives them a purpose to just chant back something some idiot is yelling into a bullhorn. And unfortunately, when somebody that they look up to suggests that some form of violence be perpetrated against people that have a different opinion than them, they are ready, willing, and able to do just that. And as I said before the break, a lot of Republicans are blamed for the dog whistle. One of my favorite, of course, was Trump using the term bloodbath during the campaign, saying that if Biden or Harris, whoever it was at that moment, was elected, that the auto industry and Detroit would see a bloodbath. There would be a bloodbath in the loss of jobs and money in the automotive industry. It's a term that has been used forever on Wall Street and in the financial circles. A bloodbath does not mean literally a bath of blood. But again, you're dealing with the dumbest of the dumb. So they considered that a dog whistle. The media ran with it. Trump promises blood in the streets if he doesn't win. They really did this. And then you get someone like Gavin Newsom in this clip we're going to play, and you tell me how this can be interpreted any other way than, hey, we want you to perpetrate violence against Republicans. Listen to this.
This is radical rigging of a midterm election. Radical rigging of an election, destroying, vandalizing this democracy, the rule of law. So I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these in the mouth.
Punch these SOBs in the mouth. dog whistle? You try to interpret that in another way, where he meant the mouth of the imaginary person that no. He is telling his followers, who, there are plenty of them, and they are impressionable and they are stupid, to punch people in the mouth. That's our new way. That's what we're doing. Fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch people in the mouth. But again, your cowardly, lying mainstream media will never present Gavin Newsom as someone advocating for violence against these people. These people. Who are these people? Let's see. We'll take a little call from Matt here in the Bronx. Matt, what's up?
Hey, Anthony. So a quick comment. I'll definitely get to my comment in 2 seconds. Cool. But with regard to the lunacy that pervades all our institutions, the media, left-wing lunacy, a voice of clarity and correction to provide a little sanity.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with him. It's Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. Have you heard of him?
I have not. 3 names. I'm very suspicious of 3 names. John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay. So he was actually in the first Reagan administration. Yes. He actually was engineered Reaganomics. He was in the Treasury Department. But he writes extensively on a broad variety of subjects, including the school problem, the crime problem, the problem with regard to concentration of the mass media.
He
in the
used
hands
to
of left-wing corporations.
Yes, he would fill the jelly bean jars on my desk when Mommy couldn't get in. To the Oval Office. Thank you. Yes,
something like that. Something like that. Yeah, but I would definitely suggest checking him out. It's Dr. Paul Craig Roberts at paulcraigroberts.org.
All right, Matt.
So let me get to my comment.
Yes, get to your story about the troops and Trump and dealing with crime. What's up?
Okay, so wokeism in and of itself and left-wing ideology is actually in a large part responsible for the surge in crime that you find in the cities. Because particularly with regard to the black inner city, with regard to the summer of 2012 when you had the George Floyd riots, what that had the effect of was actually having the police pull back on actively enforcing the law on people who were actively engaged in criminal activity.
We saw that, and the excuse that was given was they need room to destroy. They need room to blow off steam, and it made this. It emboldened them to just be worse and worse and worse. And now you get looting without the riot. Now every day, stores are looted. Literally looted. It's not shoplifting when there isn't even a riot going on because of what we saw during the George Floyd nonsense and whatnot, Matt.
Sure, and it's even worse than the looting. The looting is an economic loss, but with regard to the violence, the murder rate in these cities, the reason why it's so out of control is because not only are the criminals emboldened. And again, they have a greater propensity to commit violent crime, but the police are actively walking on eggshells. They don't want to end up to being the next poster boy.
Right. No, we know that. Matt, I got to take a break. Thank you for the call, and we'll be back in moments. Don't go anywhere with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And here's where I kind of sometimes get in trouble because people say I'm mean with certain things. I'm a little mean. And I'm not talking about people that are a little chunky. I'm not talking about people that have to watch their weight and enjoy a good meal. I'm talking about people that have gotten so large that they infringe on your space. And especially when space is limited, like in an aircraft. I've had the displeasure of having to sit next to somebody who is considered, what do they call it? Morbidly obese. They say the word in a way where it's, you would think, I probably shouldn't be this. I don't want to be morbid, but morbidly obese. So Southwest is changing its rules for its plus size passengers. And I've heard this before. I think we all have. Among changes, the airline will soon require travelers who, and they say it like this, who encroach upon the neighboring seat to purchase an additional ticket. And, this gets everybody outraged. The advocates for plus size people, I guess they call themselves. The advocates for plus size people say it's discrimination, and sometimes it ends up in court. But the bottom line here is, it's simple space. There's only so much room when you have two seats butted up right next to each other. I had a hell flight from Atlanta. I was stuck in Atlanta for about 2 days, and it was supposed to be a quick flight back to Greenville. And when I finally could get a ticket, it wasn't what I normally get, which, of course, first class. Please, what am I? And I had to sit in steerage, as I call it, and it was 3 seats across. I'd never even seen 3 seats across. I thought you'd just get 1 seat by a window. I wouldn't dare look past that curtain of scum that is 10 rows back. But apparently there's 3 seats across. I was lucky enough to get that middle seat, and on either side of me were people that were way too big for these seats. And my biceps smelt like BO when I left the plane, because their armpits and whatever flesh is in that area was on my arms. I was trapped in there, and it was disgusting. But what recourse do I have? That's right, none. Now, if an airline wants to charge for an extra seat, I'm fine with this. I like it. It's called shaming, something we should be doing more of in this country. So I was having some conversations online about it and how you would actually do this. Who is too big? Is it a weight? I've seen people that are tall and they weigh a certain amount, but that's their problem. They don't have leg room, or maybe their head is hitting the overhead compartment, but it's not infringing on your seat. But technically they weigh what would be considered for a normal height, obese. So here's what I'm thinking, and it adds to the shame factor. Have you ever seen online, there's these women, they call themselves plus size park hoppers? Yeah. Go on Instagram or any other social media platform and look up plus size park hoppers. They are giant women, and they go around trying to be cute with the little Minnie Mouse ears on, and it's just, you're just looking at something that is akin to Ringling Brothers freak show. See, here's where I get in trouble for being mean. But here's what Disney does. They go, hi, we're plus-size park hoppers, and we want to go on this roller coaster, so we have to see if we fit. And do you know that at Disney, all the rides have this little seat? So, well, not little, it's the same size as the ride. And it's tucked away before you get online. And you can sit in it to see if you fit your big ass in these Disney ride seats. I love it. And they have to sit there and they have to try to pull the safety bar down. And a lot of times they're like, well, I can't go because it doesn't latch down. And they have to hop on their little rascal scooter and go off in shame. This is what we need. We need by the ticket counter at the airport, or by, where you have to shove your overhead into a box to make sure it fits. We need an airline seat, regular size. And the big plus-size people have to try to squeeze their ass into it. And if it does not fit or it hangs over the armrest after they've made that spectacle of themselves, there's an alarm buzzer that goes off and says extra fee, or it yells something that everyone looks and laughs and points and shames the person. I doubt it'll get to that point, but we can all have our little fantasies. But look, I'm for anyone doing whatever they want to do with their life. But when it starts infringing on your freedoms and your rights, then it's time they have to do something about it. And as far as large people flying on airplanes, sorry, weight is a restriction, space is a premium on aircraft, and I really don't want to be in that situation. That's all. My 2 cents. That's my new segment. My 2 cents. All right. It's not. Relax. Chris from Bethpage. What is up, sir?
Hey, Anthony. You used to live on Long Island, right?
Certainly did. Still have family out there. I'm going to see them, as a matter of fact. Love it.
Okay. So you familiar with taking the Long Island Railroad?
Yes, I will be on it tomorrow. How you doing?
Okay. So I've been taking it for 40 years, and I've been taking the subway for 40 years, okay? Now, there is a ridiculous thing that's going on. Every day at 4:30 during rush hour, they take police officers and Long Island Railroad conductors and put them at the top of the stairs before you go to take the subway, and they make you show them your train pass to show that this is during rush hour. They have rails up there and cops up there. Only at track 16, by the way. They've been doing it for almost a year now. And I've been arguing with them. I'm like, go 100 feet over there. You have people jumping over the subway.
The turnstiles. That's, of course. Ugh.
And they lost, Anthony, they lost $700 million last year. $700 million the MTA lost.
And then they want to raise the price on the people, the suckers, the saps that actually pay to use that disgusting public transit system.
Right. And plus congestion pricing, too.
Yeah.
That was a result of that, too. Like, just think about it. It's so ridiculous. Now, I've taken videos there. I've gotten in trouble. Because the cops will come over to me like, what are you doing? I'm taking a video to show how ludicrous this is. First of all, you have conductors making $100,000 a year that when you get onto the train, they come and they look for your ticket anyhow. Why are you checking it here? Why don't you just go over there? Please, police officers, I love you. Go to where the people are jumping over the turnstile.
Yeah.
Please.
You know what else?
It makes no sense.
You know what else has to be done, Chris, also to save resources and time and actually be effective? And here, people don't like hearing this word either. Profiling. We need profiling. Remember for 10 minutes when Kathy Hochul, the great governor of the state of New York, said she's going to make the subways and the trains safer by having checkpoints where they will search people before they go into the subway. Remember that 10 minutes? Well, what were they doing? They were searching the pocketbooks, the little purses of little Asian women going to and from work. And, because they have to search everyone. So they waste time doing that when, look, we all could look at a line of people looking to get in the subway and determine who might need to be searched, who might need to get a closer look and see if they have a weapon on them, if they're going to pay at all to get on the subway. But profiling has become a bad word, but it follows patterns, and it's very useful in crime fighting. In some instances, crimes cannot be solved without some form of profiling, but they refuse to use it in an instance where you know what you're looking for, but you're not allowed to focus on some of the people that you would be searching. It's terrible.
Anthony, Anthony, you're 1,000% right.
Yes, sir.
Think about this. We know who jumps, and I see it. Believe me, I see it all the time. We know who jumps over the turnstiles all the time. Like,
Yes.
we know, we've seen the people. We know who they are. We know what they look like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So to fix that problem, they decide to have congestion pricing. Who does that affect? Who drives into the city? Is it pretty much white people?
Average
coming from
Joe going to work.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yep. It's terrible.
And who takes the Long Island Railroad? People that look like me and you. I'm sorry.
They're going to work. They're going to work. Want less
right.
aggravation. They don't want nonsense. They don't want crime. But they just Hochul and the rest of them just keep squeezing the working guys and gals and just not paying attention to the actual problems. And we end up where we are. Chris, thank you, man. Thank you for the call. Yeah, you know, solving problems, that's a crazy thing to say. You don't want to do that. You want to squeeze the people that are actually paying to come into your city and keep it running, do the jobs here in the city. And when they look at the end of the year and go, well, we're not meeting our budget, and you look at why you're not meeting it, and you realize people are leaving. They're not working in New York City anymore. Maybe they're working in New York State still. Maybe they went upstate or out on Long Island or what have you. But some of these people are leaving the entire state. But you leave New York City, and if enough people leave and they're not there to pay these outrageous prices for MTA and the congestion pricing, who's going to make up that budget? Who's going to pay when all that's left are people that are jumping turnstiles and mental patients that are pushing people in front of trains? You know, it's amazing there's anyone left. Is my take. And you know, I moved out. I moved down to South Carolina, and I see people in Greenville and that area, and they don't want people coming in. They do not want outsiders from New York coming into their cities and states. It's a red state. Greenville's a nice city. I enjoy it. I enjoy the rights that I should have in any state I want to live in, especially when it comes to First and Second Amendment rights. And what, you know, they have every right to say, oh, New York. I had to sell myself to these people. Whenever I was talking to people down there in South Carolina, and they'd go, oh, where are you from? New York. Oh, instantly they're like, oh, boy, great. So what are you going to screw up? Who are you going to vote in? And I'm like, no. You don't have to worry about me, my friend. And then you pull your shirt aside and you flash a holster on your hip. A nice big fat 45 in there. And then they go, oh, okay. I could see you're one of the good ones. Yeah. But there are plenty of people from blue states that have voted and destroyed their state. And they just moved. You know, poor Texas is a victim of this. The California imbeciles that have picked up and complain and bitch about taxes and the lack of ability to do things because of regulations. And then they move to places like Austin and Dallas and they start wrecking that. So, yeah, I might be new to South Carolina, relatively speaking, but I don't want to see New Yorkers there either, unless they, you know, show me a pistol on their hip. That's how it's got to work. That's how things work in the big city. What other things did I want to get to? Oh, God, please, Jasmine. We can't end today without talking about the great Jasmine Crockett. It does look like Texas had some sense, and she might be losing her seat. I think this is it a done deal? Because I go back and forth. I see that, and the Wolfman guy, he's losing his seat. But Jasmine, she's just been bad-mouthing Trump and the administration and anything good, fighting crime, having some type of respect on the world stage. She hates it all. She's very racist. She is pro reparations, which is just mental. And she's saying that MAGA people are the unpatriotic ones. Let's listen.
And to be clear, you can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now that the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country are MAGA and this president. We are the real patriots, and it is time for us to take our flag back and show people what America is about. You can't say that you love the Constitution while decimating it with every single stroke of a pen for an executive order, while decimating it, while you are disrespecting our troops that have signed up to protect our freedoms, not just here, but abroad. And then you're taking people's freedoms away using those exact same troops.
Whose freedoms are being taken away? That's what I want to know. Illegal aliens by deporting them as per the law says? What constitutional rights is he trotting upon or taking away from people? Because that would be something that a court, especially the Supreme Court, would have a say in. Meanwhile, I haven't heard the Supreme Court have a decision about Trump infringing on people's constitutional rights. And as far as the flag goes, lady, take back the flag because the left and Jasmine Crockett are so patriotic. They have done nothing but prove their disdain for the flag. They burn the American flag. They hate it. When people wave it, they throw things at them. They'd rather wave the gay flags of other nations, any other flag than the American flag, which MAGA waves with pride. They wear it with pride. But because Jasmine Crockett said that MAGA is unpatriotic and they are the patriots, well, I guess, that's it. It's been debunked. That's how they debunk things, by the way. They just say it, and it's automatically debunked. All right. We still got a little more left. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Kathy Hochul, just talking about her, the unbelievable, fantastic governor of the state of New York. She was talking about a recently deported mother and daughter. Yes, Donald Trump, that tyrant, that heartless, if I could only use vulgarities here. He deported a mother, and the daughter went along with the mother. And Kathy Hochul had to speak out on this. Let's listen to her take, and then we'll discuss.
Today, ICE agents deported a mother and her 6-year-old daughter. They had been previously residents of Jackson Heights, residents of Queens, and the little girl was preparing to go back to school this fall. But instead, a short time ago, they were ripped from their homes, sent to a detention facility in Texas 2,000 miles away, thinking they might still have hope to return to their home, the only place the little girl has ever known. But instead, today they were sent on a plane and sent to a foreign country for this little girl. This is cruel. And I say to those who did this, where is your humanity? President Trump, you said you were going after the worst of the worst. You think she's really the worst of the worst? Why can't we work together to go after the truly worst of the worst? The human traffickers, the sex traffickers, drug dealers, murderers, gang members. We'll help you do that. But please stop separating our families. They did nothing wrong but look for a better life, just like my immigrant grandparents did, wow. and so many other families that have been changed by coming to this great opportunity land of America. I want answers on how this could happen. Is she really the worst of the worst? I want to demand how you could possibly say yes.
Oh, stop with the drama, the fake drama in her voice. I want to know. First of all, the worst of the worst? Yeah. When he goes after that, what do? You pardon the criminals so that ICE can't take them from New York and deport them. Criminals. You've given pardons to people, illegals, so that you can set them free and ICE won't have them, won't be able to grab them up in New York. So you lie about that. The other thing is how is Trump doing something bad here? He's keeping the family together. I guess he's just deporting the mother. I don't know if the kid's an anchor baby. She made it sound like the child was born here in the United States, which would have given the child citizenship. So the kid could have stayed and gone to school. She have any other relatives? If the mother decided she wanted to take the kid with her, which I would assume any mother with any maternal instincts would want, well, so be it. And you know, make your life somewhere else, not here. He ran on this. This was the promise that was made to the American citizens about cleaning up this illegal invasion that we had over 4 years. Longer than that, actually. 4 years in Biden was just an acceleration of it. But, you know, when did this woman come into America illegally? When did she have this kid? And why not blame the administration that was in place when she did that? Because now Trump is just cleaning up the mess they made. And look, keeping families together. But she, all dramatic, Kathy Hochul. Oh, and I demand, you demand nothing. You demand nothing. You've been terrible. You've tried at every turn. Donald Trump trying to clear illegals out of your state. You have fought it tooth and nail and wonky eye. Tooth, nail, and wonky eye. You fought to try to keep illegals in this state to the financial detriment of the state, to the rise in crime in the cities. That's what's happening. So Trump is cleaning up the mess left by the previous administrations. So stop with the drama. And here's Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and he's got a problem with Trump's fighting the crime in D.C., saying that he wants Chicago to be next. So why wouldn't he have a problem? Chicago just rampant with violent crime. And Trump suggests maybe Chicago needs the D.C. treatment. And this Mayor Brandon Johnson, one of the lowest rated polling mayors in the country ever, says that people need to rise up and fight against the idea of fighting crime. Listen to this idiot.
And so, you know, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people in this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city.
Protect. All Trump's saying is your city is a mess. I mean, every weekend you could look up the amount of people that were shot and killed. Their ages are unbelievably young. And Mayor Johnson, his take is that if Trump tries to do this, the people will stand by him and rise up against the tyranny of Trump, trying to keep Chicagoans from being murdered. And the vast majority, statistically 100%, are people of color that are being murdered in Chicago. So he thinks the people of Chicago would rise up and stand by Mayor Johnson and fight the idea of trying anything to combat the violence going on in the city of Chicago. This is how delusional this idiot is. And I guess the whole show was about, we need to change this. It has to change. The big picture has to change. Little things work temporarily, but we need to really hit this thing on the head. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We do adore you here on the Anthony Cumia Show. We'll be back next Sunday, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Anthony Cumia on X. That's my X. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time.